In our last week's show, I spoke with you about the announcement of the release of an audit, an independent audit of the Hope 6 program in the city of Elizabeth. And we celebrated at a luncheon as we conclude and we move into the final phase of home ownership on Hope 6 in the Elizabethport section of our community. And I'm pleased to be joined by the coordinator for Hope 6 of the Elizabeth Housing Authority, Mr. Jose Sabater. Jose, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mayor.
And also Dr. Brett Bodden of the Hope 6 Elizabethport Revitalization Program, who did the audit. Dr. Bodden, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
First of all, Jose, for residents who may not know what Hope 6 is, if they don't know about it by now, they've been living in a cave in the city of Elizabeth because we've told people and we've asked people to go look at it. Maybe you can give us a quick description of the Hope 6 project.
It will be a pleasure, Mayor. Hope 6 is a federal grant that is sponsored by the Department of Housing and Urban Development. The City of Elizabeth, through its Housing Authority, received this grant back in 1997. The purpose of the grant, which was a total of $29.9 million, was to demolish the existing public housing units that were part of Magnolia Manor and Pioneer Homes, which was a total of 650 units, and essentially be able to replace it with better housing. Housing that was more in tune with the neighborhood, housing that will integrate the public housing as the non-public housing as well with the overall neighborhood. In addition to that aspect of Hope 6, it also involved close to $2.8 million that we use in providing community supportive services to the public housing residents. In addition to the housing and the community supportive services, we also were able to build a community center for the people of the Elizabethport area, which is the E-Port Community Center located on 2nd Street.
And Jose, tell us what you think we've accomplished through this program, and then we're going to hear from Dr. Brett Bodden on his analysis.
I think that the most significant accomplishment is the improvement in the quality of life of the people, the residents of not just public housing, but as well down the Elizabethport area. Not only were we able to provide better housing that is more integrated to the community, but also as well we provided opportunities for employment, opportunities for educational opportunities. We provided opportunities of daycare, after-school program. There's a whole series of programs that were established because of the Hope 6 programs to the residents of former residents of Pioneer Homes and Magnolia Manor.
And Dr. Brett Bodden, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Welcome to Elizabeth.
Thank you,
We
Mr.
appreciate
Mayor.
all
It's
the
good to be
work
back.
you did here, your evaluation of the Hope 6 program. Maybe you can just, for our viewers, tell us a little bit about your background and your PhD.
Great, thank you. Yes, I'm a senior economist at Industrial Economics, which is a consulting firm in Cambridge, Massachusetts. It's economic and policy consulting. I earned my PhD in 2001 from the University of Chicago, then spent 2 years as an assistant professor at NJIT in Newark, and then 3 years at Tufts University. And it was while I was an assistant professor at Tufts University that I performed this study.
And what qualified you to do this analysis? What made you look here?
It was a great opportunity to study something that the measurement was difficult. There were many facets of the program. My analysis included property value analysis, analysis of different programs, some of them that Jose was talking about, and different attributes that were interesting to look at from a bunch of different perspectives. So I've been trained in valuation, trained in policy analysis, and this provided a very rewarding challenge to look at and to analyze.
So when you were contacted to do this work, did you know much about Elizabeth beforehand?
I had lived in Bloomfield for a while when I was at NJIT, so I knew it to come
You knew
here.
Elizabeth existed.
Right.
There you go.
I had not been to Elizabethport.
Oh, good. One of the most important aspects of this program, Jose, we've talked about was the involvement of the residents in the decision-making process. And I'm going to go to Brett in a few minutes. But what do you think how did you think, from your perspective, that played a success in the program?
The Hope 6 project was really a transformation for the residents of public housing as well as in the community. such a transformation cannot be accomplished without the full participation of all the stakeholders. And that includes the tenants, that includes the institutions that are a part of the hopes of the neighborhood, that includes the city, all the city officials, the county, etc. So their participation in the implementation process, I believe that not only was a key for its success, but there was no other way in which one can successfully accomplish such an ambitious program without their involvement and sense of empowerment. We did have monthly meetings. Actually, we had the development team meetings, and we also had the collaboration team meetings. Residents and the leadership of the residents at the time were involved in all these meetings, along with all the other stakeholders. That's the key. I think that's what makes a program of this magnitude successful or fail. And I was very, we all were very, very lucky that the residents, in fact, were involved and they were interested and they contributed to the overall implementation.
Brett, one of the things you talked about in the beginning was the evaluation of this program and the multifaceted areas you had to look at. Where did you start in your evaluation in a program like this? Did you start on the economic analysis? Did you start on the customer satisfaction analysis or the political analysis?
I took really a threefold approach, starting with looking at the residents and the effects on the residents, then looking at the effects on the neighborhood and the community, and then looking at how well it was implemented, which is partially political and partially administrative, to see how well the housing authority performed their function.
And what did you start to find, by the way, when you started to look at the economic analysis? So maybe you could tell us a little bit about what's in the report.
Okay, so starting with the economic analysis primarily pertains to the neighborhood effects, looking at actual visible numbers, looking at numbers you can see, and everybody has seen property prices rise in the area in the 1990s and since 2000, and that's been a general trend. But as an economist, it's my task to figure out how much of that rise in Elizabethport is due to the redevelopment. And that was what I did, is look at how, controlling for other factors, how much did the redevelopment of what some people regarded as or perceived to be a local nuisance or a locally undesirable area, how much did the redevelopment and the reintegration of that area physically, how much did that increase property values? And within Elizabethport itself, I found the increase in property values to be $15.4 million. And outside of Elizabethport, extending up to a 2-mile effect, another $20.3 million, for a total of $35.7 million of total property value increases. And this is looking at the price, looking at sale prices of multifamily and single-family housing.